Hello friends, welcome to our 13th lecture on the detection and estimation theory course. And in this particular lecture, we are going to look at the detection of random signals, and specifically we will look at the energy detector. So up till now, what we did is that we detected signals with known we detected deterministic signals, so we knew everything about the signals. So we detected deterministic signals. Let me write it like this. We detected deterministic signals. Okay, so signals were known beforehand. What are the signals? And then we also knew the PDF of the noise, etc. And then we detected that. Now, many times what could happen is that we may not know the exact signal that is being transmitted. So for example, you can think of, let's say, a speech signal. Okay, so take an example of a speech signal. So let's say if you want to detect a speech signal, then you don't know who is going to be the speaker or how is going to speak and so on, but you may know some statistical properties of those signals. Okay, so in this particular lecture, what we are going to do is that we are going to model a signal. So we are going to model a signal as a random process. So when we model it as a random process, that means we know the statistical properties of such kind of a signal with a known, obviously a known covariance structure. Okay, and the mean, we know all those things about the signal, and then we try to detect such kind of a signal. Okay, so detecting such kind of a signal, so this kind of a signal is a random signal. So this is a random signal. So we know some statistical properties of this random signal or a random process, and then we try to detect this random signal from our received signal. So I am going to take a very small example of such kind of a of this kind of an example where we are trying to detect a random signal, and we are going to look at some of these of the properties of such kind of a detector. This we have done, we have looked into in one of the previous lectures, but I'm going to do it in more detail just to make you understand that we can indeed detect a random signal and what are the intricacies of detecting such kind of signals. So let me take an example. So this is a small example. Suppose you are trying to send a signal, let's say S of n, which you do not know what is S of n, but you know the distribution of this. So suppose it is a Gaussian distribution. Okay, so Sn follows a Gaussian distribution, and let's take its mean to be 0 and variance to be sigma s square. Okay, so variance is sigma s square. I'm considering a white Gaussian, so I'm considering a white Gaussian here. So you can write Sn is distributed as a 0 mean and with variance sigma s square. Right, now this is your signal. You don't know exactly the signal, but you know the distribution of this signal. Now again, we are going to take this signal, pass through a particular channel or network, maybe and it is corrupted by noise. So noise, we are taking it again a white Gaussian noise with mean 0 and variance sigma square. So this is a white Gaussian noise. This is white. There is no cross correlation or covariance. Covariance matrix is in fact identity. Okay, so again we write the two hypotheses. Null hypothesis is where your Xn is only the noise. Your alternate hypothesis is where Xn is your signal plus noise. and obviously n goes from 0, 1, 2 till capital N minus 1. All right, so now you have a this is your detector problem where your signal is not a deterministic one, but it is a random process which follows a Gaussian distribution with mean 0 variance sigma square, sigma s square, and the noise is again a wide Gaussian noise. Okay, so this is our detector problem. And how do we solve it? We have learned it that using NP test, the Neyman-Pearson test, we can solve these kind of problems. So what we have to do it, we have to find out the likelihood ratio, which is the probability of the x vector given hypothesis 1 divided by probability of x given hypothesis 0. If this is greater than some threshold lambda, we decide hypothesis H1 to be correct. Now what we require here is these probabilities, these likelihood probabilities here. Now you can note that for hypothesis 0, as xn is equal to wn, so the distribution of xn here is a Gaussian with mean 0 variance sigma square. All right, for h1 you can see this is xn is equal to sn plus wn. Now Sn is distributed as a mean 0 variance sigma s square. Wn is a normal distribution with mean 0 variance sigma square. So the overall distribution becomes with mean 0 variance sigma s square plus sigma square. You can take it as an exercise to prove that how the variances add up when you add two Gaussians with mean 0 and different variances. Okay, so you take up as an exercise and convince yourself that this is indeed true. Okay, so once we have got these distributions, we can figure out the likelihood probabilities. So let me write down the likelihood probabilities. I'm directly writing L of x is equal to probability of x given hypothesis 1 is correct divided by probability of x given hypothesis 0 is correct. This is equal to, so for the first case it is 1 over 2 pi sigma s plus sigma naught square power n by 2 exponential of minus summation I goes from 0 to capital N minus 1 xi square divided by 2 sigma square plus sigma s square. All right, so this is the likelihood function for hypothesis H1, and then for the likelihood of hypothesis H0 it is, so this is not sigma naught, this is just sigma square power n by 2 exponential of minus summation xi whole square, I goes from 0 to capital N minus 1 divided by 2 sigma square, and obviously this has to be equated greater than lambda. Let us solve this problem. So to solve it, so these two will cancel each other out. What we are going to be left with is sigma power n over sigma s plus sigma power n times the exponential of minus summation xi square divided by 2. This is going to be 1 over sigma square plus sigma s square minus 1 over sigma square is greater than lambda. Let me solve it further. So I take this the other side and take the log. So what I'm going to get is, so this will be ln of sigma s plus sigma over sigma power n times lambda is less than summation xi square by 2 1 over sigma square minus 1 over sigma square plus sigma s square. And then what we can do is we can take all of these things on the other side, and that will give us our test statistics, wherein we have this as 2 times sigma square plus sigma s square divided by sigma s square ln of sigma s plus sigma over sigma whole power n by 2. Sorry, this should, there is a small correction here. So this is actually sigma power n over sigma square power n by 2. Okay, so here also there is a small correction here, which is, this is sigma square, sigma s square plus sigma square. Yeah, now it's correct, right? And we can call this as lambda dash. So my test statistics is equal to summation xi square is greater than lambda dash here. And this particular entity, you can see this is a very specific entity, very specific form we have got. The summation of xi square is the energy of the signal, and such kind of a detector is called as energy detector. Okay, so this is an important point here. So what we understood is that for a Gaussian, for a signal following a Gaussian distribution with zero mean and variance sigma s square, the optimal detector is an energy detector, and you find out the energy in the signal and compare it with a threshold. Now how to get these threshold values, these lambda dash and so on? To get that, or to get the probability of detection and probability of false alarm, we need to obtain the distribution of Tx. Okay, now Tx you can see, so suppose I am dealing with hypothesis H0, then my Tx is equal to summation over I goes from 0 to capital N minus 1 Wi squares, right? So Wi's are distributed as Gaussian with mean 0 and variance sigma square. So what's the distribution of Tx? So this follows something called as chi-square distribution. So let me define and talk more about this chi-square distribution. So let me do that. So this is called as chi-square distribution. So there are two forms of this distribution. One is called as central, the other one is called as non-central. So let me first talk about central. So I'm talking about the central chi-square distribution. So suppose you define x to be equal to summation I goes from 1 to nu, and let's say I talk about xi square, where xi's are distributed with mean, are Gaussian random variables with distributed with mean 0 and variance 1. All right, I'm taking the variance 1 here. Then there is a standard form of this distribution x, and x is said to follow a chi-square distribution with new degree of freedom. So I can write the probability of x is equal to 1 over 2 nu by 2 gamma of nu over 2 times x of nu over 2 minus 1 times exponential of minus half x for x greater than 0 and 0 for x less than 0. Okay, so this is the distribution, this is the PDF of this chi-square distribution with new degrees of freedom, and we denote it in a closed form. We call it as a chi-square nu. Okay, and we know that nu is greater than equal to 1, and it is a positive integer. Okay, so the degrees of freedom are always positive integers. Here, what is this gamma of nu by 2? So this is called as a gamma function. Okay, so this is called as a gamma function. And how the gamma function is defined. So gamma of any variable u is equal to integral from 0 to infinity t power u minus 1 exponential of minus t dt. Okay, so there are some properties of this gamma function. You can write it as gamma of u is u minus 1 times gamma of u minus 1. Gamma of half is equal to under root pi, and gamma of n is equal to n minus 1 factorial for n to be positive integers. Okay, so this is how we get the chi-square distribution. And some of the other properties of chi-square distribution is that the expectation of this chi-square distribution is equal to nu. The variance of this chi-square distribution is 2 times nu. Okay, so these are the properties. And we also want to know the CCDF, so or the Q function as we defined in the Gaussian case. We also define a Q function for the chi-square values also, and the Q function is given as Q of this is equal to x to infinity pt dt. Okay, so this is how we define the Q function for the chi-square distribution. Let me also talk about the chi-square distribution for the non-central case. So the chi-square distribution for non-central case will be so here the x is again a summation of the Gaussian random variables, with now the mean is not 0. The mean we can take it to be, let's say, mu of I. Variance we are taking again as 1. So now we say that x follows a chi-square non-central distribution with new degrees of freedom. Okay, so I can write it x follows a chi-square non-central distribution with new degrees of freedom. All right, and in this case we define a parameter which is called as non-centrality parameter. I'm denoting it as lambda. This is equal to summation mu I square. I again goes from 1 to nu. All right, and for this case the PDF is given as this x power nu minus 1 times exponential of minus half x plus lambda divided by 2 power nu minus by 2, and then there is a summation k goes from 0 to infinity lambda x over 4 power k divided by k factorial lambda of nu by 2 plus k. And such kind of distributions, so how do we denote it? We denote it in this fashion, dash square times, and then we denote it in this fashion, the chi-square non-central distribution. In this case the expectation of x is equal to nu plus lambda, and the variance of x is equal to 2 nu plus 4 lambda. All right, so now once we have done all these the background of the chi-square distribution, we come back again to our problem. Our energy detector in our case was, so Tx in our case was the summation of xi squared, I goes from 0 to capital N minus 1 is greater than lambda dash, right? And here in either of the cases, in either hypothesis H0 or H1, our xi's are normally distributed with mean 0, and there is some variance. Variance in one case is sigma square, in the other case the variance is sigma square plus sigma s square. All right. So if you take a Gaussian random variable, let's say xi, which has a mean 0 and variance sigma square, then if you take the distribution of xi over sigma, if you take the variance of x square over sigma square, or rather you take the distribution of xi over sigma, it is a normal distribution with mean 0, variance 1. Okay, so if you scale the random variable, you can make it equivalent to variance 1. So we can scale any Gaussian random variable. If we scale it by its square root of its variance, then we can make its variance equivalent to 1. So in our case, what we can do is, if we take the tx over sigma square, the distribution follows a chi-square distribution with degrees of freedom n. All right, and this is a central chi-square distribution, and under hypothesis h1, if we do something like this, then it again follows a chi-square distribution under hypothesis h1. All right, so this is how we get the distributions of the test statistics, and obviously we can find out the probability of false alarm, which is equal to the probability that my test statistic is greater than lambda dash, given hypothesis h0 is correct, and this is equal to the probability of my test statistics tx over sigma square is greater than lambda dash over sigma square under hypothesis h0, which is equal to, you know that we can write it in a Q form, which is chi square n times lambda dash over sigma square. And similarly, we can also find out the probability of detection, which is the probability that tx is greater than lambda dash given hypothesis h1 is correct, or we can also write it equivalent to txo over sigma square plus sigma s square is greater than lambda dash under hypothesis h1, and this is equal to again a chi-square distribution with lambda dash over sigma square plus sigma s square. Alright, so this is how we get the probability of false alarms and probability of detection. From here we can get the value of lambda dash, put it here, and then we get our final result in this case. So in this particular lecture we have discussed the energy detector, where we have considered our signal not to be deterministic but a random signal with which follows a Gaussian distribution with mean 0 and variance sigma square, and then we figured out that the test statistics comes out to be energy detector. The distribution of the test statistics follows the chi-square distribution, a central chi-square distribution, and then we also showed how to find out the probability of false alarm and misdetection. In the next lecture, what we are going to do is we are going to take this further and see if our signal also has not a white Gaussian distribution but a colored Gaussian distribution, and see then how do we figure out an optimal detector. Thank you very much.